I would like to actually say a bit about my own status as a researcher after hearing Kavan talk, and want to clarify that I'm mainly working with art historical material. Art is the letters, writings, paintings, sketches and stuff. So it's a bit different kind of a approach to occulture, but I'm still, I've been having quite a long time a dialogue with different artists who are kind of practicing artists in a way that they are engaged with these kinds of stuff. They are somehow engaged with esotericism or rather occulture, but not really into it in a way that they would be practicing magic, for example. So this is a bit of a background of my way to understand occulture and also seekership, in which I will be talking today. So the main aim of my presentation is to introduce the theoretical concepts of seeker and seekership and consider how they could be used in a study of art and esotericism. I have been utilized and developed these concepts in my articles and doctoral theses, in which I focused on Finnish art, esoteric discourses, and fantasy occulture. I will first approach the question of why the concept of seekership should be used in a study of art and occulture. Even though a great deal of research has been done in art and esotericism in recent years, I don't think we fully understand the fundamental role esoteric discourses and practices have played in art since the 19th century. And I believe that the concept of seekership offers one important key to unravel this history. It gives the possibility to widen the research field to include those artists who did not have any obvious connections to esotericism or esoteric currents, but seem to have some kind of an engagement to these phenomena. Seeker or seekership, they are closely connected to the concept of occulture, but focus especially on individuals, to artists, authors, collectors, among others, and their agency. Seekers are, in other words, the driving force in occulture. They made it happen. Instead of seeing artists only as individuals interested in esotericism, they should be defined as active agents who take part in the circulation processes of occulture, and they certainly have their own agendas. This also means that we have a possibility to ask how and why they are using esoteric discourses, or how certain resources and phenomena become part of the ever-changing fields of occulture. I also believe that as researchers, we have a responsibility to know and justify our concepts and theories. They are the foundation for our way to produce knowledge and rewrite historical narratives. The concepts of seeker and seekership offer a solid conceptual ground to compare how, for example, the relations between art and esotericism have changed over time and in different contexts. They give the opportunity to study the continuums and changes in these relations. And in my presentation, I will give some short examples of how of this, and by discussing two different artist seekers. But first, I want to clarify a bit what I mean when I talk about seekers. Although these days we often use the term seekers and seeking in general terms, I refer to specific theoretical concepts. As I have written about seekers elsewhere, I will only briefly highlight some of my views on the subject here. You can find my open access article about seekers from the web if you want to. Sociologists of religion have written about seekers and seeking, at least since the 1950s, naming them, for example, as metaphysical wanderers or occult seekers. My definition is based on the studies of Colin Campbell and especially Stephen Sutcliffe. Seekers are often described as drifting between different religious alternatives, remaining open to various views and communities, which are often connected with esotericism, but they do not commit to any of them. Seekers are, however, committed to the search of their own spiritual truths. They mix and match different kind of religious and cultural resources. Although seekers may seem to act quite independently, it is important to understand that seekership refers to socially learned behavioral model or habitus. It is a tendency to act, feel, and think in certain ways. Oh, maybe not that way. Old-fashioned papers are not that quick either. So who can be then defined as seeker? On one hand, seekership can be considered as a certain kind of social behavior or activity, of which I will soon give two examples, the cases of Finnish artists Akseli Kallenkallala and Meri Enets. On the other hand, seekership could also be expressed as discursive patterns and expressions. In other words, by means of recurring themes and motifs, or habitual ways of think and act. These discourses, of course, can be visually expressed too. One example of such theme is seeker's journey or quest. This journey can take many forms. It can be either going through different esoteric currents or societies, or through different exotic geographic landscapes, for example. And such a journey is often understood as parallel with spiritual development or awakening. A rather well-known Finnish artist, Akseli Kallenkallala, offers an excellent example of seekers' social behavior or activity. He wandered on the fringes of various esoteric currents. Here is a short list of Kallenkallala's activities as a seeker. He took part in spiritual seances. He was interested in theosophy and psychic phenomena such as clairvoyance, and tried to develop his own extrasensory abilities. He socialized with liberal Catholic Church in Chicago and became a Freemason in 1923. He was also included in different artistic circles with esoteric tendencies, such as the Symposium Circle, whose meeting is depicted in this painting here, and the Sumsvarken Circle, which included, for example, Edward Munch and the Polish author Stanislav Brzezinski. Kallenkallala did not, however, become an active Freemason or a member of any other esoteric society. He was keen to find his own spiritual truths, as seekers usually are. When we define Akseli Kallenkallala or any other artist as a seeker, we can also ask what they are looking for and what resources or materials they use in their seeking. In Kallenkallala's case, scientific and nostalgic discourses have an important role. The artist considers himself as a sort of a truth seeker, striving towards the future of science. He believed that clairvoyance and other psychic phenomena would be better understood in the days to come. There is also a nostalgic element in his beliefs and ideas. Kallenkallala fantasized about returning to an era of authentic spirituality. He saw his own time as dark and degenerate, and believed that the more spiritual one resided, for example, in the Middle Ages or early Renaissance, when the monks, such as Fra Angelico, painted their eternal frescoes for monasteries. He was keen to follow in the footsteps of these artist monks and believed that making such spiritual art would also bring forth a new age, this kind of an artistic and spiritual renaissance. In Kallenkalla's artworks, there is a certain figure closely connected to these ideas. I call it a truth seeker. Most typically, it is depicted as a solitary wanderer who travels alone with a cloak and a staff. In Kallenkalla's sketch shown here, the truth seeker wanders toward the temple high above. Kallenkalla understood this shrine as a kind of a sanctuary for both hidden eternal wisdom and spiritual art. His sketch offers a visual example of the recurring theme of the seeker's quest. Kallenkalla drew inspiration for his ideas on truth-seeking, among other sources, from Swedish author Viktor Rydberg's novel The Armorer, or Vapensmeden. The story, set at a time of religious upheaval, tells about two wanderers, Svante and Fappe, who possess extraordinary abilities and spiritual wisdom. Svante is, among other things, believed to have been trained by Faust. Kallenkalla held Rydberg's literature in high esteem, and the wanderers in his novels serve as a model for Kallenkalla's own truth seeker figure. In recent years, I have been focused mainly on researching artist women interested in esotericism. One of them is Meri Jenets, who was active in a circle of well-known Finnish modernists in the early 20th century. Nevertheless, Jenets has remained on the margins of art history. This situation was significantly improved when the groundbreaking biography on Jenets, written by Sanna Ryynänen, was published in 2019. The following year, I collaborated with Ryynänen when we discovered and documented around 150 artworks made by Jenets. The artist was extremely interested in esotericism. The list of her social activities as a seeker is rich and long, so here are just a few examples. Jenets took part in spiritual seances and practiced automatic writing. Or should I say, she was part of this milieu of mediumistic and visionary art. The terms I have been, or concept which I have been thinking a lot in recent years. She read a wide range of esoteric and occult literature, including Paracelsus, Böhme, Swedenborg, Wirth, among others. And she socialized with the members of the Ruusuristi, which is the esoteric society in Finland, drawing mainly on theosophy and Freemasonry, and referring to Rosicrucianism. Sorry. She knew personally several clairvoyants, mediums, and astrologers, and also made astrological charts herself. And she moved in several artistic circles, interested in esotericism in Finland and in France. Jenets drew this spiritual development was important, and perhaps even more important than art for Meri Jenets. She was eager to wake up and understand the true nature of reality. Jenets drew this idea, along with theosophy, astrology, and spiritualism, from the fictional writings of Austrian author Gustav Meyrink. For example, his novels The Golem and The Green Face. The latter tells the story and journeys of Fortunatus Hauberisser, a kind of a truth seeker, and his encounters with mysterious figures and events. The themes of spiritual awakening and transformation are important in Meiring's novels, combining elements of occultism and psychological horror. The boundaries between reality and the invisible supernatural world are often blurred. A similar notion of intertwining the visible and the invisible supernatural realities is present in Jenetsy's notebooks and other writings, where extraordinary encounters and events are constantly highlighted. The discourses concerning clairvoyance are present in both Kallenkallela and Jenetsy's seeking. Jenets utilized her own dreams and visions while striving towards awakening, but she also used the help of other clairvoyants and mediums too. Jenetsy's ideas about spiritual awakening and her journey as a seeker have a strong corporeal dimension. And I have to say, this kind of I think is stemming with the things that Kevin was saying. We really have to see the meaning of corporeality and this new materialist stuff, which for me have come through artist women. Is that a good thing or not? I don't know, but that's how it has come, it has gone with my material. Strong corporeal dimension. Among other things, she fasted heavily on several occasions during the 1920s and 1930s to achieve spiritual development and discovering her own divine self. Jenets also writes in her notebooks about the development of the fire body. She believed such a body would provide her a more profound understanding or higher consciousness, the intelligence, and thus the possibility to make art that would reveal cosmic truths. According to Jenets, quote, painting expresses through its coloring and color and line rhythms, moods and thoughts and cosmic truths. One does not need to be skilled in representing these, only the intelligence to understand and know how to represent what one understands. In Jenetsy's art, esotericism is thus manifested mainly in the colors and forms, and less by the means of subject matter. Here, however, you can see one of her paintings that clearly illustrates the theme of spiritual development, so important for the artist. The face or body of the woman develops into angelic being. So to conclude, a short comparative analysis on Akseli Kallenkalla and Meri Jenet shows that there are similarities and differences between the two artist seekers. For both artists, fiction provided an important source for their spiritual quest, alongside the more esoteric literature. By focusing on artists as agents, it is possible to see how fictional materials, such as Rudberg's and Meiring's novels, are incorporated into the ever-changing fields of occulture. The theme of clairvoyance stands out in the cases of both artists. There is thus a certain continuation of these themes from the late 19th century to the early 20th century, and I might add even to this day. But that's a different story. There are, however, also differences in seeking of these artists. In the case of Kallenkalla, the emphasis is on scientific and nostalgic discourses, while the artist is trying to find his way maybe back to the hidden temple of art. He also depicts this quest in several of his artworks. In the case of Meri Jenet, the spiritual awakening and its corporeality are more prominent, although these themes are not often depicted in any obvious ways in Jenetsy's paintings. Rather, the spirituality of art is expressed through color, form, and rhythm. Seekership offers an analytical tool that opens up new perspectives to Kallen Kallas and Jenetsy's art, life, and religiosity. And in addition, I believe that similar habitual ways to think, act, and speak can be found in many artistic discourses from the 19th century onwards. By giving the opportunity to study these continuums and changes, the concept of seeker and seekership offer a valuable tool for studying art and esotericism. Thank you for your attention.
Far below the surface is long remaining out of sight, and usually out of mind.